Welcome back. We've got some really interesting material today. A collection focusing on a gang in Trinidad and Tobago, Rasta City.
Yeah, it's a complex situation, and these sources, articles, some research papers, they give us different angles.
Exactly. And listeners often tell us they want to get past just the headlines, right? So that's the goal for this deep dive. Really unpack Rasta City's origins, their rivalries, and, their wider impact.
hmm And using everything from news reports to more academic stuff helps build that fuller picture. You get the what happened and maybe some hints of the why.
Okay, so let's start with the name itself. Rasta City. Seems straightforward, but the sources also call them Seven, or just Seven.
That's right. And interestingly, their main rival wasn't always who it is now. It used to be a group called Muslim City.
Used to be. So what changed?
Well, this is pretty common, actually. There seems to have been a major split within Rasta City.
Ah, internal stuff.
Yeah, a faction basically broke off and they became known as Six. You sometimes see it spelled 6IXX or just the number 6.
Okay, six. And the ones who stayed, they just kept the name Rasta City.
Exactly. They remained Rasta City, or 7.
So that split created a new enemy right there.
Precisely. So now the sources suggest Rasta City's rivals include this 6 group.
The Splendor Group,
Right, and also another group called ABG.
EBG. What does that stand for?
Reportedly, anybody gets it.
Anybody gets it. Wow, that's quite a name. It certainly paints a picture.
It does. It suggests a less targeted, perhaps more chaotic approach, maybe, compared to a direct rivalry like with Muslim City previously.
So a more complex, maybe more volatile scene now. Who's leading Rasta City today, did sources say?
The name that comes up consistently as the current leader is someone known as Pretzi.
Pretzi. Okay. Now, looking through the timeline in these articles, July 2019 jumps out. Seems like a key date.
Oh, definitely. A really pivotal moment. That's when the leader at the time, Akini Dole Adams.
Well, yeah, that's okay.
Yes, he was killed during a police raid in Sealots.
Right. And losing a leader like that, especially in those circumstances, must have major repercussions.
Absolutely. It often creates a power vacuum, instability,
Yeah.
internal jostling for control, maybe makes the group more vulnerable to rivals, all sorts of potential fallout.
Which is interesting because wasn't it shortly after that, in the summer of 2019, that we saw that musical response?
Yes, the song Unity. That was Marlon Asher
Right, Marlon Sobers.
and Isaac King, who's Shaquille Selkridge, and Orlando Octave.
Yeah, unity. What was the message there? Was it directly addressing this conflict?
It seems so. A very direct appeal, really. Calling on both sides, presumably Rasta City and their rivals, maybe 6 specifically by then, to look at their faiths, and stop the
A
killing.
call for peace through music. A community voice trying to intervene.
Exactly. A powerful example of trying to leverage culture to sort of de-escalate the violence.
You'd hope something like that would make a difference. Did Rasta City or Seven engage with that call for peace? Agree to anything?
Well, based on the information we have here, no. Despite that song, and likely other community efforts we maybe don't see documented, it seems Rasta City hasn't formally agreed to any kind of peace deal.
So the conflict continues. It shows the limits, maybe, of those kinds of appeals when the conflict is really deep-seated.
It could suggest that, yeah. The driver's territory, money, retaliation cycles might be just too strong for an external appeal alone to overcome.
Now, thinking about the sources themselves, we've got things like the Trinidad Express newspapers.
Yeah, giving you those sort of immediate on-the-ground reports, event-driven.
And then we have academic journals like Race and Justice is mentioned.
Hmm.
How does that perspective differ? What does it add?
Well, the academic work tends to step back a bit. Instead of just reporting what happened, it tries to analyze the why.
Okay.
So researchers might look at, say, the socioeconomic factors, what conditions might lead to gangs forming in the first place, or they might analyze the long-term impact on communities, or even evaluate different intervention strategies. It's a broader, more analytical lens.
Right. Provides context. So you need both, really.
Yeah,
The news for the specifics, the research for the bigger picture.
definitely. They complement each other to give you a more layered understanding.
Okay, so let's quickly recap the main points from this deep dive then. We have Rasta City, also called Seven. They had a major internal split leading to a rival group, Six.
And they're also enemies with ABG. Anybody gets it.
Right. A key leader, Dole Adams, was killed in 2019, leading to Pressy taking over. And despite community efforts, like the Unity song calling for peace.
No formal peace deal seems to have been reached, at least according to these sources.
It really paints a picture of a complex, evolving, unfortunately ongoing situation.
It does, and seeing how the news reports and the academic analysis fit together helps make sense of those different layers.
Absolutely. And it leaves you thinking, doesn't it?
Hmm.
Beyond just Rasta City, what are those deeper societal roots? The things that allow these situations to develop and persist?
Yeah, that's the big question. What would it actually take to create lasting peace, not just a temporary truce?
It's definitely something to mull over, thinking about all these different perspectives we've touched on today. What really underpins it all?